Okay, I want to share something with you that I think you need to pay attention to or be aware of. So let's first give you some backstory here. So as you can see here, I've been saying for 12 years, watch for Pope Francis, the one who will be the false prophet, who eventually will resurrect to fulfill the prophecy in Revelation chapter 17, verse 8, the beast who was and will ascend out the bottomless pit. And he would join with Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan, to the one who will be the Antichrist. So these two will work together to usher in the end times and fulfilling Bible prophecy. And this also speaks to the prophecy mentioned in Daniel about the kingdom of iron and kingdom of clay, where we see the kingdom of iron being Europe, led by Pope Francis, and the kingdom of clay, led by Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan. And you'll know this is actually happening once Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan is crowned king, because that's the first seal where a crown is given to him. So that's the first thing to know. But if you're not even familiar with their influence, look, we see of all the Arabs in the Middle East, we see Shia, Sunnis, Arab Catholics, Arab Christians, all of them centered around Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan. And on the western side of the world, notice all the religions and everyone on the western side of the world centered around Pope Francis. So these are the key figures, not to mention Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan is the 42nd descendant of the Prophet Muhammad, just as Jesus Christ is the 42nd descendant of the Prophet Abraham. So everything points to these two as the ones who will be the false prophet Antichrist. Now, history would have it where these kings here ruled, the kings of Jordan ruled the known Middle East after the fall of the Ottoman Empire. We see King Abdullah ruled Jordan, King Faisal ruled Syria and Iraq, and we found that King Ali bin Hussein ruled Hajjaj. So at this time, this was known as the Hashemite Kingdom of Arabia. Well, all Arabs were under the Hashemite banner, and with the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, King Hussein bin Ali, which is Prince Hassan bin Talal, great-great-grandfather, was the ruler of them all. So it was one king to rule all Arabs, to rule all Muslims. And this is what Daniel's prophesying when he mentions the kingdom of iron, kingdom of clay, or specifically this region being the kingdom of clay. But what history would have, how history would turn out is that King Faisal would lose the territory of Syria and Iraq eventually to political parties such as Bashar al-Assad or Saddam Hussein, and eventually what it is today. And we found that the Hajjaj was lost to the Saudis, and it became Saudi Arabia instead of the Hashemite Kingdom of Arabia, leaving just Jordan to continue with the Hashemite descendants or the Hashemite line, with the king who we have now, King Abdullah, who is the nephew to Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan. So I hope this is kind of making clear to you that his ambition is to recapture the Middle East. And what you're looking at here explains the line of kings. So we see King Abdullah was the king of Jordan, who then died. He was assassinated on the Temple Mount in the presence of his his grandsons, and it was passed to his other son, King Talal. King Talal was then considered crazy, and he underwent psychiatric issues, and he abdicated and passed his crown to his son, King Hussein. And for years, decades, the crown was supposed to go to Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan. He was the one, all of Jordan knew that he would be the one who would inherit the crown after his brother would pass away. But at the last moment on his deathbed, he was passed over. Notice how he has the title, the passed over prince, just as Jesus is the Prince of Peace, who is also the Passover lamb. So he was passed over, and the crown was given to his nephew, King Abdullah, the current king. And that is where we stand today. And of course, King Ali bin Hussein lost his crown to the Saudis during a war, and so that region became Saudi Arabia. But as you can see, this territory was ruled by the Hashemites. This is the region that you see that Prince Hassan wants to reclaim again to fulfill what Daniel was talking about, the kingdom of clay, or what Prince Hassan likes to call West Asia and North Africa. So once you identify him, things become much more clear about the Antichrist motivation. Not to mention, when you look at the prophecy where Antichrist in the Bible has another title called the Assyrian, you look at the map of Assyria and you can see its region and how vast it spanned at the time. And if you simply put that region with Iraq and Syria, we understand now that the Antichrist is called the Assyrian because he wants to reclaim the territories of Iraq and Syria, which just so happen to be up for grabs because, as you can see here, his uncle, Prince Hassan Bin Talal's uncle, King Faisal, ruled Iraq and Syria, but they were pushed out and assassinated. But they never gave up the crown. They still have the right to rule that territory, to reclaim it and bring it back into the Hashemite fold. So this is the motivation. And not to mention, everyone has become kings in Prince Hassan's upline except him. He wants to be a king. He should have been king. And this is the one thing he wants to do. And since Iraq and Syria is up for grabs without a king because they have presidents, this is what his motivation is. This is the prophecy where we see he is given a crown where he becomes king, as I show you here, and he goes conquering and to conquer. But he's going to do it with the power of the 10 kings that's given to Pope Francis. Now, that being said, this is interesting that I got this update here where the president of Iraq met with the king of Jordan. And again, this is the history between these two. King Abdullah of Jordan knows that Iraq belongs to his royal family. Iraq was the only reason Iraq even exists as a free independent nation was because his royal family, King Abdullah, fought for it. It was his great-great-grandfather that rallied all the Arabs and Muslims to push the Ottomans out to have Arab Muslim independence in the region where they would have Arab self-determination. So his royal family, King Abdullah, helped give the independence that Iraq has today. But so it's well within King Abdullah's right if he wanted to reclaim that for himself. But since King Abdullah is already a king of Jordan, is there another prince available? Yes, Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan, because his son, I know some of you are going to put in the comments, what about his son? His son is called the Crown Prince of Jordan. So he's already secure to be king of Jordan. So he can't sway away to other nations to go get a crown for somewhere else, because his duty is to Jordan. That's why he's called the Crown Prince of Jordan. Whereas Iraq and Syria are up for grabs, and Prince Hassan Bin Talal of Jordan has every right to reclaim that because his uncle was the king of Iraq and Syria. And you can see here, they're together.